Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Today is March 15th, 2018. It's the Environmental Conservation Board. Tonight we have an agenda we're going to follow, and the first item eligible for a permit is Pulte Homes, Lot 5, Terrace Drive, achieve grading for approved site plan. Please state your name.
Paul Lynch from Putnam Engineering.
Okay, Paul. We have, besides there have been no formal comments in the file written from the public. We spoke to the homeowners last meeting. We listened to what they had to say. Rich,
Last meeting you adjourned.
2 meetings ago. Okay, well, we'll get to it. Hold on. We have a meeting, memo in here for the SWIP from the town engineer. As requested, the engineering department has reviewed the proposed. The calculations submitted are in conformance with the DEP SWIP and the approved plans. I trust that this is adequate for the board's need. Please do not hesitate to contact me. So those are approved. The bond for the growing season, for the trees, we have a total of 28, 35, 38, 41, 47, a total of 48 trees based on this list, and you're gonna have to submit a bond for $68,030.
$68,030.
$68,030, and that's gonna cover for 5 growing seasons,
Okay.
okay? That's what we discussed the last time we were here. Also, with the grass, you have to guarantee 2 growing seasons on that one, the grassy area that you're gonna be planting. Okay, and then, I'm getting there. The trails, you were gonna check the grades on the trails
Yes,
for the, and clean up the gravel on the path.
that work is to be done in the springtime.
Springtime? Okay, hold on. And then you provide the plant letter to verify the path is under impervious amount of first gravel is there. The watering plan and schedule for seed and plants was in the drawings and needs stamp from the soil compaction reports we got. And that was the last meeting on 1/18/18. Other than that, you had met everything that we had requested. What, you guys, please could just approach, please state your name.
Jack Adesso, 75 Blair Heights, Carmel, New York. I live at the retreat, and I'm chairman of the transition committee, which is working with Pulte to transition his property to HOA ownership.
Okay.
But there are some issues with this Lot 5 permit that's the application in front of you for. And we didn't really get a chance to get into all of these issues. And I just want to make sure tonight we put it all out on the table, so whatever decision you make, you make.
All right, but that's why we have this has been advertised for over a month and a half.
Well, we were here on the 18th, okay?
Right.
It was an abbreviated meeting.
Not on the 18th, it wasn't.
On the 1st was abbreviated.
What?
The 1st of
This
March
month was abbreviated.
was abbreviated.
So let me ask you something. So the public hearing is over. There's no.
Well, the comments should have been done from March 18th to today. I mean, I'm sorry, from January 18th up until March 1st, or, because that was when the first time they were up for a permit.
So
But what I'll do is this, I'm more than happy to entertain listening to what your comments were.
Right.
We, as far as I'm concerned, this board has gone through the drawings. If there's anything detrimental, we'll address it. If it's been
Okay.
addressed, we'll take care of it,
Fair enough.
okay?
All right.
What do you got?
The walking paths. okay? Pulte claims that there's only 130 linear feet of the walking paths that they can pave because they can only increase the impervious square footage by 871 square feet. That's not accurate because it's contradictory to what's been filed with the amended site plan.
So whatever's in the amended site plan is
Well-
what they have to do.
Well, I just want to.
Okay.
I just want to state it because.
problem.
We've gone through it. Bottom line is, they submitted a table to the planning board, which indicated, when you look at the table, that an excess of .34 acres, or 14,810 square feet, is available. If you take a walking path that's 4 feet wide, okay, it leaves 3,703 linear feet, okay, that can be paved. In other words, the impervious surface is not 871 square feet, but is actually 3,703 square feet. And that's just a matter of looking at the records and looking at the requirements and looking at the site plan that was submitted and the chart that was submitted at the time. Also, the slope of the walking paths was measured by us at 14 degrees and 20 degree slope.
Okay, I really don't have purview over the slopes of the walking path. We had told you guys last time that you should talk to the builder and ask him if he can Paul, you hearing this? We had asked that you guys sit down together to try and come to a grade and a grade that you both could live with.
Is this
I have
the-
the notes here for it.
Excuse me, Chairman. Is this the grade slope that you're speaking of, or is it on an angle when
No,
you're walking?
the reason why these paths keep washing out, among other reasons, is because their slope is severe, okay?
The grade.
14 degrees and 20 degrees shouldn't be more than 8.33 degrees, okay, if you look at the requirements. And if you look at the planning board conditioned, it's supposed to be 5 degrees, okay? So part of the reason why they continue to wash out, among other things, is the slope, right? It's a steep slope, heavy rain, it just washes out.
To the way.
Okay.
Okay, so if that's something that's not within your purview, nothing
Well,
we could do
Paul,
here
you're gonna
about
have that addressed, right, Paul?
At some point, we go back to the planning board for a bond reduction, which I've asked for. So all these, there will be a public hearing, so these types of issues can be discussed and clarified.
Yeah, but I don't want you to do the work first and then have to rip it up. It makes no sense. So what I'm asking you to do is to address with the builders, with the surveyors, to make that down to a 5% grade.
It's impossible. It wasn't designed that way. You can't get to a 5% grade.
It's in the plans with the 14% grade. Or what?
Yeah, whatever the grading plan was.
What about terrace it?
You really don't have the room. In other words, to swish it back and forth, there really isn't room because you're on the fill section, so that the fill section's coming down and you're gliding along it as you're going down also. So there's,
You gotta come up to the mic, if you don't mind.
there really isn't anything that can be done to change its shape or its location or switch it back because you got it's a slope coming down like this and you're going down in that direction. You know, there's,
Okay.
it's an exercise trail. I mean, it was never intended to be ADA compliant or any of that sort of stuff because they had met their recreation commitment with that park area that they have in terms of square footage. So the walking trail is just additional.
See what we can do, all right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's gonna come up with the planning board.
Right.
Sure is. I mean, I don't know why the planning board would make a condition that it be at a 5% grade if it was only an exercise trail. But it's not your
Again-
purview. I don't want to waste your time by bringing something before you that you can't deal with, so.
Right.
I'm going to ask you about the maintenance plan for the new plantings.
He's got a 5-year bond on it. They
Okay.
die, he replaces them.
Has a plan been filed?
Yes, I believe there's a plan in the drawings.
Okay, has a plan been filed with the town, the clerk, where we can
In
get a
the
copy
plan,
of it?
You could pull the plans, there would be in the plans here, there's no separate plan, it's in the drawings.
Okay, so I can go to the planning department and get a copy of those plans, or to the building department?
Yeah.
And get a copy of those plans? Okay. Also, we'd ask that Pulte put some additional erosion-controlled plantings between the trail or the walking paths and the 100-foot buffer along the stream. You've gotten photographs from us, as a town has, showing a lot of silt and turbidity in the waters going into the stream. I have photos here if you want me to hand them in to you. But you can see all of the silt and dirt and other materials washing down that stream, which ultimately goes into, the wetlands and the reservoir. So we think that if they added some more plantings that would assist in preventing this runoff from going into the stream,
Well,
it would be an assistant.
I mean, you're going to restore that area to establish turf and some plantings there, Paul? Can you talk about that, please?
I'm sorry.
As part of your drawing package, there is a mitigation landscape plan that shows additional trees being planted in between, basically the base of the fill slope and that, and that buffer. So you're within the buffer, but you are planting additional trees.
In response, a lot of stormwater runoffs picking up, it sounds like a lot of turbidity and fines and soil. Is the soil going to be turfed over, or is that part of the detail?
It's all part of the details. You have, vegetation, reestablish the vegetation, plant your trees, get that growing and do your
That's part of the two
maintenance.
growing seasons.
Right, for
To
the
have
grass.
established turf,
Established
so
turf.
that, there should be no runoff. It should be absorbed.
Well,
and-
there'll be runoff,
There'll be
but
runoff,
there's
but
not
it's
gonna
not
be,
gonna
you're
be
not gonna have
soil.
an erosion issue or
Yeah.
anything like that.
Right.
And for the record, just to make sure everyone's clear on what is in the file and that is public domain, you can come and request it from the buildings department, right? There's a letter supporting documentation for the impervious area and the calculations that we had requested for this from the last meeting. That is actually on the top of the file here. There's a watering plan for all the new tree plantings that'll be coming in, as well as the maintenance plan that we were talking about, and landscape plans for Lot 5, which is actually on the set of drawings that we have. There is also other soil reports and site inspection reports. And these are all files that we had requested at the January
18th meeting.
18th meeting that have now been put in the file.
So all of these, we should be able to find in the building department
100%.
along with this file.
Yeah.
And this would be, excuse me?
Planning.
Planning department.
My mistake.
Okay, we'll
Planning.
go both places. But this would be the stormwater control maintenance agreement?
That's the SWIP plan, which they have DEP approval for,
Right,
which
just
I
the
made
one-
them, which we made them go re-up, so that's up to date.
And that would be the one required by Town Code, Section 156?
Right, well, unfortunately, the DEP we required, and the DEP requires, that DEP trumps us, so they followed the DEP code on that one.
Okay, but they're now available for us to get?
Everything's in the file.
Okay. Also, would you have any issue with the detention ponds in this Lot 5 area? Because we have issues with that as well.
If it was on, whatever was on the plans that was submitted, we went through and we approved.
Okay.
We
We've had
Accepted.
cuttings going on in these detention pond areas within the 100-foot buffer of the pond. The people cutting it have taken the cuttings and thrown it into the pond. We've got photographs here. If you looked at the pond with these cuttings in it, it looks like a grassy area. In other words, they completely covered the pond with these cuttings.
With grass clippings?
With the grass clippings and
They're
everything else.
throwing, they catch the bags of grass and throw them into the pond,
Not
or
the
is it
bags,
just?
not the bags.
They're just
Branch,
mulching
brush,
it up.
Shrubs,
The
stuff
cutting,
like
the
that.
cuttings themselves.
Sounds like a
and
maintenance
couple of
issue.
Sounds like a
photographs.
maintenance issue.
The maintenance, who does the maintenance there? Let me
See
see.
the area here, which is the top part of the pond,
This looks like,
detention pond.
Paul? I mean,
They're starting their
is that
conversion.
Phragmites in there? What is?
It's Phragmites. They're starting their conversion from sediment ponds to their final state.
And they'll be cleaned, right?
Yeah.
You clean everything out.
So they're weed
you
whacking the existing Phragmites that are growing inside this pond that established, they're trying to get them out of there.
There'll
And
be
then,
some minor regrading done if need be. The outlet structures get changed. I think there's temporary outlets in there
What
now.
are these detention ponds?
Detention pond.
Yeah.
We also need to know, these detention ponds have plants that are inside them, supposed to be put in when they were created. We don't have any way of knowing whether these plants in this pond even exist anymore, okay? And it's a requirement, and if the HOA gets stuck years later trying to replace these plants, you know, it's an enormous expense. And we need to have a certification from Pulte that these plants are in the pond, and I think a certified biologist has to do this, or arborist, whoever, has to verify this.
Well, we have an arborist on, certified.
They haven't been planted yet.
okay.
I'm
We haven't
adding
gotten
these,
there yet.
just for the record, I'm adding these 2 photographs to the file.
I mean, they haven't been planted yet, so how have these ponds been working?
They're
They're just
sediment-
using as sediment ponds for construction.
Okay, so is there a plan as to when these are gonna be planted, these plants?
They're working on trying to do it this spring.
Is that in the file, Paul? Is that in the plan for restoration, or?
Be right here.
Full set of drawings.
Got it, okay.
Before the record, Paul, that detention pond is gonna, can you explain the sequence? Will it be dredged? It's gonna be dredged, everything's gonna be removed, and then you'll plant the wetland plants that go in there? Is that the sequence?
Pretty much so. The surveyor's been out there to resurvey everything, so they'll give me an existing as-built condition. So I take that grading plan that the surveyor generates, I overlay it on top of my design plan for my pond, and I check the elevations, bottom of the pond, the berm elevations, so on and so forth, see what the areas are like. If I have to remodel a pond, we remodel a pond if the areas are, you know, too small or something to that effect. But we go through the whole process of you know,
One thing that may,
analyzing
not to be overlooked is, there may need to be a maintenance plan inside of those detention ponds for the next, a number of years, so make sure, that there is a maintenance plan.
Is that in the submitted drawings?
That is in the submitted drawings.
So that's
Part
something
of
we
the
can also.
Oh, yes.
Okay, because we haven't had that up to this point, and that was my other question about the maintenance plan. Is it filed, and, you know, what does it say? So we'll have to get a hold of it and take a look at it. I just wanted to leave these other photographs with you, just to show the runoff issue in the stream. And, you know, it's a problem, and hopefully it'll be resolved by Pulte. And Spencer, you had a couple of things on the tree? Okay. So the other issues that I have here are
Absolutely.
basically planning board issues as I
Okay.
see it. And I'm done here with what we had to present this evening.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so Paul, I added clean detention ponds upon completion of work as condition of the permit of work and restore, okay?
That's fine.
Also, you were supposed to put wetland signs up, right?
Yes, they have to put the wetland sign. I don't know if they've been physically done yet or not. I haven't been up there. But we have, that's on the plan.
And then I put watering plan 2 seasons for grassy area, the turf. And other than that, I think, you know, we've gone through this as best we can. So, do I have a motion to grant the permit to Pulte Homes, Terrace Drive, Lot 5, Carmel, New York, permit number 939? Do I have a motion?
What are the conditions?
With the following conditions: a bond amount for $68,030 for 5 growing seasons, watering plan for 2 seasons for grassy area, the turf, clean detention ponds upon completion of work and restore, and install wetland signs.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so. So you can get this tomorrow. we just have to do an EAF. So you'll send the bond over, when you go pick up the permit?
I'm not exactly sure what they're gonna do when.
Okay. All right, just have to do some paperwork, and you're good to go, Paul. All right, to the board, will the proposed act create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in a change or use intensity of land use? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment facilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Nope. Will the proposed action result in adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No, as designed. And will the proposed action create hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. All right. That's for me, I'm not here.
It's for you.
It's the boss there.
All right, you're good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Next item,
Kirkwood.
Kirkwood Estates LLC. Okay, we had numerous letters were received from the public, and we spoke to a bunch of your neighbors last week. At the last meeting, we went over, I think you spoke with a bunch of the neighbors. This is not, you're just repairing the area with some trees and stuff. It's not being set up as a boat launch. It's just being to restore the area. After you're done with it, right?
That's correct. We're not prepared to do any additional work other than just restoring the area.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
Doug Esposito, representing Kirkwood Estates LLC.
Okay. Yeah, we've a lot of letters were submitted. There was, I think we explained last week 2 weeks ago, what the plan was here. And I think with that, I think we can move forward with the permit. With any conditions, you have to install 6 bushes, shrubberies to be planted in that area, okay?
Yes.
So do I have a motion to grant permit number 940 to Kirkwood Estates for 61 Kirk Lake Drive, Mahopac, New York, with the following condition: to install 6 bushes / shrubbery to be planted in the area? Do I have a motion?
Motion, I'll make that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And just to let you know, one other thing, if those trees die, I'm not gonna hold a bond on you because we're only talking
6.
six whatevers. I expect you're gonna give me 2 growing seasons, right?
The property's for sale, so
Until at least I'd like at least, if you sell the property, you're, you're free and clear, but up until the time you make sure that they,
We will keep an eye on it,
thank you.
as long as we're around.
Yep.
Doesn't sound specific to me.
I'm just putting here 2 growing seasons until property's sold, okay?
Don't even put down property, so I wouldn't. 2 growing seasons.
2 growing seasons, okay? Let's do an EAF. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use or planning or zoning? No.
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change of use intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an environmental impact characteristics that cause the establishment of a CEA? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy as it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action affect public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, wetlands, water bodies, flora, fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No.
No.
And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Could you just, John, do me a favor, just tell those guys to pipe it down?
Or shut the door. You can just shut the door.
Just think it's close the door. Close the door.
Want to close that? Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, yay. Phone calls on this stuff, but, all right, next item is Robert Savage, 142 Westlake Boulevard. Richard Savage. Richard. Capping of existing seawall with concrete steps. Could you please state your name?
Richard Savage, homeowner.
Okay. You want to explain to us, I went through your file. I see a copy of your lot survey. I see there's an area here in the yellow highlighted.
Correct.
That you want to put a capping on.
Correct.
And what kind of capping do you want to install?
Well, what had happened was the ice broke the top portion of this seawall. And I guess based on the lake level, it could just be capped with concrete. Not quite sure yet based on the level of the water. Right now, it's considerably higher than it usually is. At that point, it's about 2 feet. Usually, it's 2 feet high. However, it's probably about 5 right now.
Okay.
So if it
Are you
remains higher, then we're going to have to, seal that area off.
Did the water go over your stone, your capping stone this year?
Correct.
It was over it.
Yes.
Yeah, during the northeasters, I assume.
Yeah, well, it still is now. It's over most of the docks that are in the, along that strip of
You
land.
don't have a photo of that wall with
Yeah.
it, do you?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
There's plenty of photos. So my question to you is this: are you having a contract to do this work for you, or are you doing the
I
work?
am. I'm having a contractor.
Okay, because this to me sounds like a maintenance to the board. It's not you're not demoing the wall, you're just gonna put a capping on it, correct? So to me, this sounds like a maintenance issue, but what I would require is, I'm gonna need you to draw on this plan here. While you're doing the work, we're gonna expect that a floating boom be installed in the lake, that in the event debris falls into the lake, it's captured in the confines of the boom.
Okay, because the debris is already in the lake.
Well, you're not gonna use any heavy equipment, right? It's
hand
just gonna
work.
be hand work?
No, because it's probably 75 steps from the road level, so heavy equipment could not get down there.
Okay, so what I'm gonna ask you to do is, you're gonna put in a, I'll draw it in here for you. You're gonna put in a floating boom. And what you'll do is you'll set up the floating boom.
It looks like it's
You will
lower thing,
call the
'cause that's what's
town engineer. After the boom is installed, he'll come out, he'll inspect it, and then you can start work.
Excuse me, you're capping this, or you're putting something over here?
the lower one.
The lower?
This
I'm look-
portion here,
Yeah.
which is about 10 feet, broke off.
Oh, that, okay.
And that's normally, you walk down steps onto that.
I do not walk
Oh.
on that, it's only less than.
What's this right here?
That's steps that go into the water.
I got you.
My dock is here.
I got you.
That is a part of the seawall that you really can't walk on.
Okay.
It's not wide enough, it's probably 2 feet.
That's part of the footing
It's
for the
like
wall?
the sub wall to the wall.
It is a subwall to the wall, yes.
Are you going to be repairing or putting concrete into any other sections aside from just the cap, meaning the steps as well?
The steps are wood.
Okay.
The reason why it was placed on the letter of permission request for a step is because there is one step down from the dock. If you were to make an attempt to walk across this, this seawall.
Okay. Are you gonna be replacing that step as well? Or,
Well, it's the deck, or the dock, excuse me, and then the seawall is one step down. So there's no additional steps or anything.
okay. All right.
All right, the only thing I'm gonna ask you to do is as follows. I'd like you to, with your permission here, I put in a show the floating boom.
Okay.
What I need from you is a letter for the scope of work, okay? In that letter, what I'll do is this, we will grant the letter of what I'm gonna propose is as follows, so I'm just gonna talk it out first. We're gonna grant a letter, a letter of maintenance be issued to you, because to me, this seems like maintenance, okay? But that letter of maintenance will only be issued contingent on the fact that you provide us a letter with the linear footage of what you're going to be, the area that you're gonna be repairing, stating that you're gonna be putting in a floating boom, that there will be no heavy equipment used to do the work, and,
Are you having an outside contractor do this?
Yes.
Okay.
and that an outside contractor will do it, and that you'll also have to verify that, you'll notify the town after the floating boom is installed. Okay?
I also have a request. Are you Mr. Savage, are you the property owner?
Yes.
If you could also please submit a copy of the deed to the file, the deed of the property.
That's part of the application. Okay, so with that, so you have until Tuesday to get that in.
Okay.
Well, not the contractor, you'll just
Yeah.
say contractor to be determined, and once you get a contractor on board, then you'll do the,
I have until Tuesday to get a letter in.
you have to, Tuesday to get a letter in for us.
Okay, and it just has to be
And a copy
a
of the
couple of
deed.
sentences explaining that.
Yeah,
No heavy equipment.
Where, property deed, would that be on file here?
That's either with the county.
The county?
Right, so over in Carmel, there's the county building. You can talk to the clerk in the county building, and they should be able to get you a copy of it. You may also be able to get it electronically if you give them a call.
what were the, no heavy equipment, length of wall to be repaired, floating boom, copy of deed, what else was there?
That's going to be really just concrete, correct? That you just.
It
gotta
is,
match it.
it's gonna be difficult for me to get this by by Tuesday. I cannot access this without going,
You can't do this work for quite some
Quite a while.
time.
The lake level's too high.
So what do we do? You want me to just shelve this until you get the stuff and then you come back in 2 weeks? The next meeting in April?
What's your preference?
I'm just wondering if I can make it down to this piece of land within the net. I certainly might not be able to do that by Tuesday because I have, a foot of snow down there. I have to.
Oh, I thought you knew the measurements.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know what?
It's.
Why don't we'll just shelve this until you get back, until you get the information, and then it's just a letter of maintenance we're gonna
Right,
give you.
and as soon as we issue the letter of maintenance, you don't have to come back again after that.
Yeah.
It's the night we grant it, you can pick it up the next day. So it's not like there's any clock
Gonna
or
ta-
period that you have to wait.
Yeah, there's no open public hearing or anything.
You can't do any work until that lake
Yeah, you
level
can't-
goes down
yeah.
anyway. It's gonna take a while to do that.
Well, I'm trying to avoid doing it when there's heavy traffic on the lake. So I would like to try to get it done.
Yeah, but it's
That's up to
March.
you.
And/or so that the remaining retaining wall doesn't come collapsing.
You mean like from wakes from the lake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because within a month, that lake it'll start getting active.
Oh, yeah.
In a month?
The
Be
fishermen.
April.
Oh, I get my boat usually at the beginning of April.
Well, I'll tell you what,
I'm.
tell you what, we'll grant the letter of maintenance, and then he can, give us this, before you start work, give us the stuff, within 2 weeks.
Okay, and I'm bringing it over to,
Coming back here?
With the contractor, do yourself a big favor.
All right, so
Sure
this
you
is what
put
I'm
some
gonna do.
reinforcing bar in that slab and then actually drill it into either side. 'Cause
well,
that's
and
gonna pop again.
and I'll be honest with you, because it's been iced for the last couple of weeks, I'm not 100% sure whether this portion, or if I'm gonna have to redo
Do a little more.
a little more. in
Yeah, he's
order
gotta-
For it to,
He's gonna have to, do a demo cut and make a clean surface and he'll,
It has to be dry, yeah.
it has to be dry.
Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna propose to the board the following. I propose we grant the letter of maintenance to Mr. Richard Savage for 142 Westlake Boulevard to cap an existing seawall with concrete steps with the following conditions. That he provide us a letter of the scope of work that he plans to perform there, has to provide us with a copy of the deed, has to install a floating boom prior to the start of work, get the wetland inspector to inspect it prior to start of physical work, provide us with a copy of the length of the wall to repair, and no heavy equipment. And Mr. Savage has 2 weeks from today in which to get us that information before the permit will be issued. And that would be by March 29th, you should have this information in. Okay? Fair?
guess so.
So do I have a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so you're gonna get your letter of maintenance and just get the stuff into us within the next 2 weeks. Okay?
Okay.
What you do is you bring it to Rose and she'll get it out to us.
Okay. And since I don't really know what a floating boom is,
It's-
Go on the internet. If you hire a,
something I'm purchasing, or is this something?
it's something you would
Your
purchase.
contractor should be able to
Should be able
provide
to
that for
provide
you.
It's an absorbent boom, and it would protect anything debris from floating out into the lake.
It's like a curtain, and it's floating.
Okay.
It's a
And
sock, it
there's
looks
certain amount of length you can buy for it, but if you do it in sections, you can move the boom along as you go, right?
Okay.
So, all right?
Okay.
We're just trying to protect the integrity of the lake. Okay? All right, next.
Good evening. My name is Mark Del Balzo. I'm here with Bureau of Water Supply, New York City DEP.
Hello, how are you?
Very well.
I went through the plans and drawings today that you submitted. Basically, you're doing all the bar racks inside the building, right?
The bar racks for the channels are located just outside.
Okay. Because I saw the building, I was under the impression that it was the building. All right, so you're right next up to the reservoir then?
That is correct, but it's inside the wall area,
Savage.
Savage.
the access ports.
Okay. I'm not trying to be difficult here, but, I mean, you sent the specs for the stainless steel work, you sent the overview of the unit. I didn't see a plan view of where the work is actually being performed.
Any chance we have a sketch of the plan, a layout of the shift in?
And I don't even know if this is
This is Sven Nielsen, he's with DEP as well.
If you wouldn't mind just stating your name.
State your name and,
Mike?
did you state your name?
Yes, I did. Mark Delbar.
Mark Del Basso.
Sven Nielsen with New York City DEP.
Okay, so if I'm looking at the pictures, because I don't have a plan view, this is the picture of the building. Which area are we working?
There are 4 channels.
There's 4 channels right here, so they're inlets into the pump house, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 4 channels here, and they're covered by these doors. These covers.
Yes.
Okay, so the plan is to,
One of them removed. This is one of them there.
one of the hatches removed.
Yeah.
Sven, you showing the one with the forklift?
Yeah.
So these racks were delivered today. Some of the pictures.
Okay, so basically you're pulling the old racks out?
Yes.
And just installing, and replacing, welding in there, or just, they're just,
They are already welded.
they slide down in the channel? So this would be considered maintenance?
I agree.
Yeah.
This would be considered maintenance?
This is
Can I have
all
these
one
for the
unit,
record?
right? That's going into A, or that's each one?
Each one, there's 7 they stacked on top of each other, so
Yeah.
they go on sections. We'll pull each one up, 7 of them will get pulled up for each channel, and then we replace, we slide them down.
Those like screens, they're just screening the heavy debris?
Prior to the,
Right, I see what you
Where is the
mean.
debris collected right now? In front of each of the screens?
yes,
So when you are pulling these out, how do you clear the debris? Like, what's the procedure for clearing the debris before you pull them out?
so we go down with divers, we clean out the debris, they'll lift it up, we have to store it, we have to sample it before disposal.
Yeah.
Then we take the old screens out, once it's cleared, and then we replace. There's actually very little debris in front of the screens because there's a 10-foot drop to down.
It's like a sump,
So it falls down,
Yeah.
basically.
right.
All right, here's my concern, here's just a couple of concerns I'd have, is the fact that you're near the water, and I know the DEP is big on this. Well, that's a propane forklift. Any,
It is the yellow one that's gonna be used for this.
all right, that's a
Alone.
diesel-operated one, right? So what I need is, I need you to have a spill kit on site while you're doing the work. I need a spill kit. I'm not asking for a boom because you're not working in the water.
Well, when you remove, if there is debris, is there a possibility that it could go into the lake when while the divers are removing the debris?
It's in front of the intake channels.
Right.
And if you look at the panels, the cover, or we said the door, that's inside the wall area, so we'll be diving down, they go down.
David, that in here.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, this is the intake from the lake itself, so it's,
Right.
it's might as well be in the lake. I mean, this is in the lake, no?
Yeah, but it's inside the lake, where they're working within a contained area.
Yeah,
Sure. So
There's a drop, like.
Yeah, it's a
here's
sump.
drop off in front, so think of this as the intake area where the channels are.
Yeah.
So the lake is much lower.
What
and
is
you,
the
and you
debris-
vacuum.
It comes up.
What does the debris consist of generally?
lower than
Wood?
the intake right now?
Tree limbs and things like that.
Let's see how this goes. They just slide right down.
Yeah, yeah.
There
is, could just float out, no?
But it's got there
So
from
you have
the
limbs,
other side of the river.
tree limbs, branches, And then maybe some silt collects around that, and
You know
that
what I mean?
falls
It's not
down.
like we're introducing.
Branches,
Yeah.
vegetation, but not much.
Let me ask you this, if you put a boom, do you feel that a boom would be necessary at all, or would be useful at all, putting in the lake? Like, do you think that that is, something that there is a potential of contaminants getting back into the lake from the screened area? Or if it's so low of a concern, then I don't think it's necessary either.
It's all flotsam.
Could you just go to the microphone?
Right, so again, we were saying before, the debris is vegetation that has settled and has, with the current has washed up in, so very low chance. So I wouldn't think that
I
would
would
be
consider
necessary.
that pretty
And is
low.
that the only heavy machinery you're gonna be using, that yellow one that you were,
The lull.
the wall there?
That's just gonna lift it out.
That's fine, that's fine.
All right, so then the only question I have,
Spill can.
so this, this is the motion I'm gonna make, gentlemen, is I'm gonna make a motion to grant Volmar Construction, for DEP at 1286 Route 6 Carmel, a letter of maintenance to replace the shaft 10 bar racks. However, with the following condition, that they have a spill kit on site while they're doing the work. Is that all right with everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. So then with that, I propose to make a motion to grant a letter of maintenance to the DEP for shaft 10 at 1286 Route 6, a letter of maintenance for replacement of shaft 10 bar racks with the following condition, that they have a spill kit on site while the work is being performed. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, all right,
Thank you.
When do you plan on doing,
to the microphone.
So tomorrow, we're planning to come by, pay the fee to pick up the permit. Would it be available by that time? The letter, or should
It's a
we?
letter of maintenance.
Maintenance, I mean, sorry.
I think Dawn's here tomorrow. I don't know if you'll get the letter, but.
you call beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I know
worst
sh-
case would be Monday, probably.
Yeah, worst case, unless there's another nor'easter
Well,
or
Oh,
yeah,
something.
that goes.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow?
Yeah, the day after.
The current schedule is to commence on March 27th. We can go ahead with that.
Yeah, you just gotta get your letter of maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. You don't need us to inspect anything, just, I'm telling, get the 55-gallon pig drum.
Yep.
The yellow one, it's got the diapers in it, it's got the boom in it, it's got Speedy Dry in it, and it's a 55-gallon overpack. So just get one of those, have that on site while you're doing the work. And you have to, you know what you have to do,
Your
but.
contractor might even
Yeah,
have one.
Yeah, I'm sure he
You
does.
can find space, you have to follow,
Yep,
all that stuff, but that's not my purview, but just have the overpack and the spill kit on site, that's all.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
And the fee is, was it $55 for the letter of maintenance? Something like
Well, I'm not familiar with the.
Fee
I mean,
schedule.
I don't know,
I'll
I don't
head
remember.
to
that.
Don
To Rose for that?
first.
What? Rose,
Rose are down.
50, letter of maintenance.
$50.
50.
It's $50.
Okay.
Want to give us 55?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Bring it back. All right, next item is, escrow return for McDonald's. Planning board referral. I have a letter here from Richard Franzetti in response to a request by the above applicant. A representative from the engineering department performed the field inspection of the reference property on August 8th, 2017, to evaluate the current status of the site condition for the purposes of determining whether a bond return was warranted. Good night. Based upon the inspection performed, all the site improvements required pursuant to both the planning and environmental board's approvals were completed. On this basis, this department recommends that the escrow be released. I trust that this is adequate. If you have any questions, please don't. So do I have a motion to release the escrow for McDonald's USA LLC for 1931 Route 6 Carmel?
Who'll make that motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, bond is released. Last item, meeting minutes. 12:21, Ed can't vote, so that one stays open. 1:18:18, all were present. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes for 1:18:18?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do I have a motion to, the only one for 2/1/18 is Vince Terrano. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes for 2/1/18?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Last one is 2/15/18. The only one I can't vote is Vince Terrano. Do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of 2/15/18?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's it. So, all right, so with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night. Have a nice weekend.
Aye.